as well. Just for reference, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Beverly Flythe, and I'm with the Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development here at the South Carolina Department of Education. I'm joined today by my colleague Rodney Evans, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the updates to the SLO template. I'm also joined by my team leader, Dr. Vicki Troffler. She is over the PDEP portion of our office and generally supports our mission here as a fearless team leader. So thanks for joining me, Vicki and Rodney. And I'm just going to hop in because I know your time is limited, and I want to give you plenty of time to ask questions at the end. Today's agenda, just a few things. I know a lot of you have had some turnover, and so what I wanted to do today was just give a brief check-in, the who, what, where, when, and why of OEELD, how my office is a little bit different from Ed Services, but how we work together in conjunction to provide you with what you need to produce fantastic and qualified teacher candidates for the state. And so those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. The first is, who are the people in your neighborhood? I always love to sing this little song in my mind from Sesame Street. But we're going to talk about who we are and what we do and who you need to call. I started to use the Ghostbusters, who you going to call? And I did for this slide. Who you going to call? If it's an adept question, if it has anything to do with ADEPT 4.0, SC Lead, those questions come to me. And so most of you have my contact information. Most of you have been in touch. The new folks, welcome. I'm sure we'll get to know each other, and my contact information is on the screen for ADEPT. I also work in conjunction with the school districts, so I can be a liaison between you all and the school districts. I work with all of the educational consortia in the state, and so I can be a conduit for you with those agencies and those organizations as well. If you have a question about anything certification, those questions go to Jackie and her team. Jackie is the team leader, of course. James, Dr. James Ritter is sort of leads up the programs and the internships. Clay Barton works with Read to Succeed and the PRC. And our newest friend in the office is Whitney Jett, and she works with Title II. And so that's just kind of a who you call for what you need. Now, one of the things we would ask you to do is if you could please update your contact information for the EPP with us. And one of the ways that you can do that is to let me know who needs access to SC Lead. And I have put that form on the EPP webpage under Ed Effectiveness. If you scroll down on the EPP page, it's under sclead.org for EPPs, SC Lead Access Form, and you'll see a little screenshot of that on your screen. If you will just download that form and fill it out for who is with you at your EPP and who needs to be on my email list and who needs access to SC Lead for reporting. That would really help. It also helps me to know who I need to remove from the list, who's left you for other waters. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. And feel free to jump on, ask at any time. During this presentation, drop your questions in the chat box, or you can wait until the end, whatever works best for you. The Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development does provide and supports teacher growth and principal growth with the teacher and principal effectiveness systems. That's ADEPT and PDEP. We also work very hard to build capacity with equitable access for effective instruction, personalization, collective leadership, And we also provide support through mentoring, coaching, and personalized technical assistance. And so we try to be, as much of a one-stop shop as we possibly can be for you, in conjunction with the profile of the South Carolina graduate, to support and produce educators that are going to be able to provide the highest quality education to the students of South Carolina. You can follow our work. We're not the most active office in the agency with our social media, but we do update social media at times. On Twitter, we're hashtag SCTS Rubric. We're hashtag Collective Leadership. You can follow at PIP Leaders. And then you also know our website, I'm sure. So we update that frequently as well. Some of the updates that I wanted to talk to you about. We have updated with NIET, the environment domain, and those updates were approved by the state board in June. And so those have gone into effect for school districts. They have been updated on our website, and the new rubric is published on the website and has been shared with all of the school districts. It will go into effect as a requirement for your ADEPT plans for the 22-23 academic year. I went ahead and put a question in the ADEPT plan template for this year. You may have noticed, just asking some kind of feel you out questions about the updates and how you're stressing equitable access and environment in your coursework already, and moving forward, kind of getting us ready to address these changes in the language of the environment domain. Again, that new updated rubric is available on the website. And we've also streamlined the process for SLO in districts. And so Rodney's going to talk to you about that in just a second, and share with you the updated templates for that as well. Another update that we have pushed out of our office is the ADEPT 2020 for special areas. This applies to school counselors, school librarians, and speech language professionals. It is the new evaluation instrument. It is very closely and similarly aligned to the SCTS 4.0 rubric. Each of those special areas now is evaluated using a rubric. And the timeline, we are in full implementation statewide in all districts this year. And we are asking that all alignment in all EPPs happen next year for 22-23. The major changes, we've aligned these models to the national standards and to the updated state standards for those three content areas. We are using a 4-level rubric. We are we have equipped administrative evaluators with a column of knowledge of school support roles and alignment and references to help them to understand these roles. One of the pieces of feedback we got from the advisory groups and from our boots on the ground specialists in these areas was that their administrators had no clue what they did every day and what their roles really truly involved. And so we have incorporated as much of that into the training and to the evaluation model as we possibly could to encourage that relationship and that building of rapport between the evaluator and the practitioner. And we've replaced the isolated interviews and long-range plans with conferencing and reflection. These three areas now receive reinforcement and refinement suggestions from the evaluators, as well as incorporating those pre and post conferences for evaluations and observations. And I'm happy to get you hooked up with the training in these models. If you are interested in that, just reach out to me and let me know. So now the what. What you talking about, Willis? What are we talking about? What's involved in ADEPT? When I refer to ADEPT for EPPs, what's involved? And one of the new things that we want to talk to you about, James spoke about earlier so eloquently, I will try to do it as much justice as he did, is the internship certificate. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that interns are simultaneously enrolled in an EPP and employed by a school district on an internship certificate. Interns should be placed on an LOA and coded as such in SC Lead. That alleviates the burden of the ADEPT evaluation for the district and defers to you all as the ones in charge of the ADEPT evaluation as a teacher candidate. Interns are evaluated using expanded ADEPT model by their district clinical supervisor, who serves as sort of the cooperating teacher. Not necessarily in the classroom with them all the time, but that's that supporting role on the district's part. And then their traditional university clinical supervisor. That requirement has not changed. Using the system approved in the EPP's ADEPT plan, it's not reported in SC Lead except for when you report your candidate results. And so instead of the district reporting those scores in SC Lead as they would for an induction educator or for an annual contract educator, you all will still report those scores and just the overall pass or fail for those interns. Interns are not induction teachers, and I did this slide sort of to serve a dual purpose for you all and for the districts. I'm going to share this with the districts next week in our office hours that we provide them, because we are getting a lot of questions about how do we support these interns. We've got them, we've done the MOU with the EPP, so now what do we do with them? And so my reference to them is to send them back to you all to negotiate the contract, the terms of that MOU, as far as deferring to the university supervisor as the main evaluator for the ADEPT. Districts should work closely with the EPPs to support and coach those interns. Although interns are not provided a cooperating teacher or mentor, those district clinical supervisors should monitor and support the intern with timely and valuable feedback based on the rubric. And the ADEPT evaluation results are reported by the EPP, not the district. And that's reported just as candidate completion data, the same thing you always send. And for more information on those internship certificates, there's the documentation and legislation for that. Again, that's the same slide that James shared with you earlier. So what else are you required to submit? Well, of course, you're required to submit your ADEPT plan by July 1st. And I think everybody on this call had theirs in on time. And if you didn't, as soon as I followed up with you, you sent it straight away without any problems. I have provided feedback on all of the submitted plans, and that feedback is uploaded in SC Lead in the same placeholders as your plans. So please check that out if you haven't already. But as you know, state statute and regulation requires the EPP to submit the ADEPT plan for each academic year. And I do try to update the template each year to more closely align with what you are required to submit for SPA and CAPE recognition. I've also tried to streamline it and include updates that we provide as the state agency. This past July, you were asked questions about diversity and recruiting. You were also asked questions about barriers to recruiting and retaining diversity and in your candidate pool. And so I have taken that information, I have pieced it together to prepare a report for the next time I meet with Mary Hip and with Lila, our director. And so I will be presenting your concerns as I try to do at all times, be an advocate for you. And so one of the main concerns that I saw throughout lots of plans across the state, regardless of size of the institution, one of the major concerns I see from you all is the price is core, is a barrier to entrance into the program, and it's a barrier to recruitment and retention. And so that is one of the things that is on the agenda and it is on the docket for discussion, further discussion. So special areas program ADEPT plans, if you do offer that those programs as part of your program offerings. Those ADEPT plan templates were shared and are parked on the website as well. And so those of you that do offer those programs, Clemson, State, Citadel, USC Columbia, and Winthrop have submitted those plans as well, and I'm working on the feedback for those because I'm taking a little closer look at those. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And now I'm going to hand it over to Rodney for a brief overview of the simplified SLO.
All right. Thank you, Beverly, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to shout out my alma mater, Benedict College, Dr. Shivar CU, our participant here today. So shout out to you and the Benedict College Tigers. It's homecoming
Thank
week.
you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. Um, we start the simplified SLO. We started with that on last year, actually 2021, and we got the approval um, for to continue with the simplified SLO process on this school year from the State Board of Education that met this summer. Most of your students will complete an SLO during their induction year. One thing we do here at the state level is that we allow districts to have flexibility to allow induction teachers to complete the SLO during the second semester, and that's just to assist with them getting acclimated to their new role that first semester as a classroom teacher. Um, all classroom-based teachers in our state are required to complete an SLO if they meet the business rules of working with at least 6 students throughout the SLO interval. For teachers who do not meet those business rules, and there are some teachers who do not work with consistent 6 students throughout the year, and in the past, those educators would complete a GBE. But on this year, we are allowing, or we've given districts the discretion to allow those teachers to complete what's called the teacher leadership goal. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in the next few slides. Um, the two key features of the simplified SLO are that it allows teachers and their evaluator to agree upon evidence and a high quality priority standard versus a narrower set of assessments, and that the focus really sits on one instructional practice connected to one of the South Carolina teaching standards. The vision is that the work of the writing and reflecting on the SLO would be streamlined, and for many teachers would fit into existing school data team structures or PLC meetings. All right, so this next section here, section 3, in the instructional strategy section, we have added a reflective question in the section that asks teachers simply to consider which inclusive learning practice is mostly connected to their work. And this aligns to the changes that were made to the environment domain on this year. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to place a link in the chat box to our SLO website, and that's where you'll have access to the simplified SLO template along with examples for the simplified process. So feel free to um, peruse our website, and identify those resources that may be beneficial to you. All right. The TLG, the Teacher Leadership Goal. Okay. This is new on this year. What is it exactly? This is more so for seasoned educators. So I'll just briefly give an overview. This is something that, you know, um, teachers starting out, possibly will look at doing further, maybe 3 years plus in to the profession. But simply what it is, it's an opportunity for teacher leaders to look at growth measures as they support other teachers. We have a lot of educators in our state who wanted that type of opportunity, who wanted to be recognized um, for seeking recognition of expertise for coaching teachers, or for completing something such as the National Board Certification. So those are goals that can be tied to the teacher leadership goal. And again, this is a district decision. And so we have some districts who are piloting, I won't say piloting, or allowing or starting with this on this year, but in the future, we hope that, more districts would allow teachers to grow in this area of leading or coaching other teachers. So I will also put just the link in the chat box for you to take a look at that document. Again, it's something new this year. It may be something that you just want to get information about. So that's it for the SLO, Simplified SLO, and the changes that were made to the template and to the process. Are there any questions right now about the SLO? All right. Well, I'll just put my email address in the chat box. If you have any questions in the future, please reach out, as I am the SLO coordinator for the state, and I'll be glad to support you in any way.
Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate that. Now we're going to talk about the where. We've talked about the what. The what that you're required to submit is the ADEPT plan. And then, of course, you're required to upload your teacher candidate results by semester. Now, my smaller institutions, sometimes you all just upload them once in the spring and you do for the whole year, and that's fine. Or you can do by semester. And we'll talk about those deadlines coming up soon. But where is SC Lead? That's where you put everything. And that's where you submit your student teacher results. And again, if you will help me help you by updating who needs access to SC Lead and who doesn't any longer need access to SC Lead for your EPP, if you'll update that information for me, I'll show you where that I've shown you where that form is, and I'm happy to show you again if I need to, just to get that tightened up, that list, make sure that we don't have rights out there floating around that maybe don't need to be floating around. Plus, we only have so many licenses, and so we try to limit the access as much as possible. But it's a simple matter. There are two ways, as you know, to submit your student teacher results. You can download the Excel template, and I do recommend downloading it just before you upload it each time, because sometimes we do make adjustments and tweaks to that template. And that is the required template to then turn around and upload the information into SC Lead. We unfortunately cannot just accept one that you've created on your own. It has to be the one that SC Lead creates. And so you can do it that way. You can import your data that way, or you can import them by hand. You can still do the old-fashioned one at the time manual import into SC Lead. And most of you know how to do that. If you don't, I'm happy to walk you through those steps as well. And then what data do you have access to? Well, you all know that this is what the template looks like. And this is how we know who to tie your data to later on. If you don't tell us who graduated from you, we don't know who to tell you where they are or how they're doing. And so it's important for not manipulating the template to leave it just exactly as it is. As you know, this past year we did upload and I do maintain the programs list of approved programs at your EPP. So those program 1 and 2 boxes are now drop-down menus that you can select your programs that are approved at your EPP, and the system will not allow you to select a program that you are not approved to offer. Which helps us, and it also helps prevent some accidental clicks and mistakes. So if you have any questions about submitting those student teacher results, I know a lot of times we run into problems validating the data, and most of you who run into those problems just give me a quick phone call and we work our way through it immediately, and so I have no problem with that. Just let me know. Then what reports do you have access to? What data do you have access to? And so this is a list of the reports that you have access to in SC Lead. We have fine-tuned these based on your feedback and your requests as much as possible. You can now drill down by program. as well as by student. We also offer the correlation report. The student graduate evaluation results export tells you who's in that report. And so you can align your data based on your candidates that you reported. And then the student staffing report gives you an up-to-date list of every graduate from your programs in the state. If they are teaching in South Carolina, it will tell you where they are teaching and who's evaluating them and when. And so there is a quick guide on the website. I've done several of these breakout quick guides. If you just need a refresher on how to upload your candidate data, there's a quick guide for that on the website. If you just need a refresher on which reports give you what information, there's a quick guide for that on the website. I've tried to do as many of those as I can so that it's a one-stop shop and you don't have to go back and listen to this whole drawn out webinar or try to track me down or try to track someone else down. So I've tried to make the website as user friendly as possible. Then the when, and that's an important question, of course. We need your fall candidates submitted by February 1st. Again, if you're a small EPP and you only have 1 or 2 fall graduates and then you only have 1 or 2 spring graduates, we will hope and pray that you have more next year. Always like to see enrollment numbers go up, but just in case they don't, if you forget to upload your fall, or if for some reason you would prefer to wait and do them all, then as long as you have them in by June 1st, I'm not going to send you a nasty gram or anything, but I might ask you, but as long as we have all fall and spring in SC Lead by June 1st, that helps us be able to then turn around and provide you with the data that you need for your continuous improvement practices and for your accreditation reporting. And then, as we said earlier, your ADEPT plan is due in SC Lead by July 1st. And I usually try to have the most recent updated template available for you to download by April. This year I was running a little late because I wanted to make sure we had those environment and diversity questions in there, and so it took me a little longer. The templates were not in by April 1st as I had hoped, but I do try to get those in there by April 1st so that you can start working on them early, because I know a lot of you get summers off, which is fun, and I want you to be able to clear your calendar and desk before you go. The next EPP 4.0 trainer training, I've had some questions about that. I just had one in September, and so the next one, it will be April 25th and 26th, and it will be virtual. And I'll send you out information about that at a later date. One thing I do ask, and there are instructions on how to do this on the website as well, is to please work with NIET to clean up your evaluator list on their portal. We have a lot of folks still listed at EPPs that they have been gone for several years now. And we also have some new folks at your EPP that need to be doing the work of the university supervisors, but they don't have access to take their updated credentialing exam because they are not receiving their information, because they're still placed somewhere else. So if you would please look at that quick guide or give me a call and I'll walk you through the steps on how to access your list of evaluators and how to clean that up. And then the why, and if you know who that is, you get a brownie point for today. That was the Backstreet Boys. Tell me why. And the why. Why do we do this? Why do you have to submit what you submit? Why do we do what we do? Why do we ask you what we ask you for? And it's basically to help you to meet the ADEPT regs, of course, but also to help you with your continuous improvement measures for your SPI and CAPE reporting and your accreditation. And these are just some questions. Do EPPs have direct access to the validity and reliability studies for the instrument? Yes, you do. And I've also put a new quick guide on the website for that as well, with the slides and the research to back up the validity and reliability. In the past, those documents, you had to request them and then we would email them to you, or you would have to reach out to NIET and ask for them. But now I have them parked on the website at a fingertips touch. And if that is not enough, or if you do need further research or you have further questions about the research, you can still always reach out to Josh Barnett or Tanae Hudgens, and they are the research team at NIET. And again, that quick guide is also on the website under validity and reliability. If the EPPs choose to tweak the rubrics, are they required to resubmit to the state to ensure the revised rubrics are valid and reliable? We have not required this in the past. We do approve the EPP ADEPT plans annually. As an example, some EPPs ask to use different performance level titles. For example, I've got an EPP that uses emerging versus needs improvement, or to supplement the language and professionalism with teacher candidate specific details. Neither of these alter the validity and reliability. In particular, the professionalism domain is tailored to each state that uses NIET's tools, and the professionalism domain is not included in the validity and reliability. So those of you that add some dispositions or hide the professionalism column and use something else, or use your university dispositions or create your own professionalism standards, that does not invalidate the validity and reliability. Should the EPP choose to alter the rubric in a manner that voids the validity and reliability, it's acceptable for you all to conduct your own validity and reliability studies and to submit those findings as part of your ADEPT plan. And then I have another frequent flyer question. I need to run reports for my CAPE visit, but I can't access them in the IHE portal. Why can't I find what I need? Well, beginning in 2018, all EPP ADEPT data is tracked and stored in SC Lead. We just went over the reports you have access to there. If you or the person responsible for entering or accessing your EPP data needs access, then that's where that access form comes in. Please reach out to me so I can get your rights established. I've reached out already and tried to clean up that EPP user list, and I think I heard back from all but one EPP, and I followed up with them. But just, I know that that was before a lot of the changes took place over the summer. So if you could, please let me know what changes have taken place. So now I know that was kind of quick and relentless. I feel like I've bombarded you with snowballs of EPP ADEPT data, but if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Please look over the website under EdEffect. If you go to the ed.sc.gov website under educators, scroll down to educator effectiveness, and it's the EPP blog is at the bottom of the page on the right hand side. And like I said, if you'll check that out, we've loaded a lot of quick guides for easy access to exactly what you mean, what you need. I'm sorry. Will there be training for just the new environment domain? Not just for that, no. We are looking at making some changes. NIET is updating the other domains, and they're working on that now. And we will be rolling out those changes soon. No worries, Jennifer. Have a great afternoon. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. So not specifically, we did have some workshops this summer through NIET, and I shared those with you as I received information about them. And so those did work around some of the environment language, but they weren't specifically focused on just environment. And as I stated earlier, that will be part of it. The push right now was just to get it out to the teachers and to the districts, but it will be a focus for you all next year. But we will support any questions or any ideas you have about that. We also have gotten a new learning library, professional learning library, as part of SC Lead. This time, previously it was through Edivate, but now it is through PowerSchool. And so anyone in your EPP who has a certificate identification number through the state. So if you have a valid South Carolina teaching certificate, you have access to those videos in SC Lead. And so you are welcome to use those in your instruction, use those with your teacher candidates, share those as you see fit. And the only question is, or the only requirement is that you have a valid CID. Linda's got another question. How did the process begin for the intern certification process? Does the school usually initiate with the candidate or EPP according to need? Do you know? I am not aware of that. That would be definitely be a James question. And I know they talked about that earlier, and I kind of was just paying attention with the ADEPT process. Those are the questions we keep getting, is the ADEPT questions, the evaluation questions. Don't tell James I wasn't paying attention, please. I feel like that's all we've talked about in the office for like 3 days now. I believe that the district can initiate the MOU with the EPP, and then the EPP provides those folks who they think would be good candidates. I hope that's how it works. That makes more sense to me than. Any questions? Any more questions? If you don't have any questions and you have what you need, or at least have a start for what you need, you are welcome to go enjoy your lunch or take a walk outside. I hear the weather's beautiful out there. It was a little chilly when I came in the building this morning, and I have not had a chance to go back outside. So I do plan to enjoy some sunshine pretty soon. But thank you so much for everything you do. I know, yes, Carolyn, I will send you all the PowerPoint. And I will send out the link to the recording as well, and I will park it on the website too. But like I said, if I can do anything, you know where to find me. Those of you that know, that are used to working with me, know I try to be as accessible as possible. So just please let me know how I can help. I do appreciate your time today. I hope everybody stays well. Enjoy this beautiful fall weather, and take care of yourselves. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great afternoon.